The Forgotten Kingdoms of Southern Africa, Great Zimbabwe in Zimbabwe, Mapungubwe and Thulamela in present-day South Africa. The forgotten history of powerful African kingdoms is intriguing because it serves as evidence of a thriving African people before colonialism. Most of these ancient kingdoms in southern Africa have been linked to periods between 1100 and 1600 AD, which was well before any European settlers settled at any point in southern Africa. Our focus today is Great Zimbabwe in Zimbabwe, Mapungubwe and Thulamela in present-day South Africa. The Great Zimbabwe is located about 200 miles from the second largest city Bulawayo, and it is in the Masvingo province. When Europeans first came across the Great Zimbabwe, they perpetuated myths and refused to believe that it was built by Africans. The settlement at Great Zimbabwe is believed to have accommodated the Shona for about 300 years between 1100 and 1400 AD. This massive stone settlement was built by Iron Age Bantu ancestors of the Shona, and at the height of this settlement, the population was approximately 18,000, which is the largest of its kind when compared to other almost 200 stone structures that are found around Zimbabwe. The name Zimbabwe means house of stone, and the Shona who built the Great Zimbabwe are the ancestors of those who built Mapungubwe and Thulamela in South Africa. Despite the overwhelming evidence of Shona culture at this stone settlement, European explorers tried to dismiss the ingenuity of native Africans by attributing the building to Arabs, Israelites, and even Phoenicians. Anybody but Africans. However, they cannot explain the more than 200 other stone settlements in different areas of Zimbabwe that prove that this was a way of life for the Shona. The builders of the stone structures like the Great Zimbabwe used only granite stone with no mortar to erect the massive stone walls around boulders which have lasted for hundreds of years. Great Zimbabwe was one of the most significant trading regions during the medieval period. The mainly traded items such as gold, iron, copper, tin, cattle, and cowrie shells. Imported items included glassware from Syria, minted coins from Kilwa, Tanzania, and Persia, and even Chinese ceramics during the 13th and 14th centuries. Great Zimbabwe was an important commercial and political center. In addition to being at the heart of an extensive commercial and trading network, the site was the center of a powerful political kingdom, which was under a central ruler for about 350 years. Mapungubwe. During the apartheid era in South Africa, people were taught that when the settlers arrived in 1652, there were no blacks and that blacks only began migrating into most areas of present-day South Africa at about that time. That explanation served to reinforce the Europeans and why Boer settlers had the right to land that they had not previously owned. But about 500 miles north of Pretoria is evidence of a settlement at Mapungubwe, which is close to the border with Zimbabwe. This too was built by Shona people. When it was initially discovered, the settlement was handed over to the University of Pretoria, which at the time did not need to preserve any history that would show the brilliance or intelligence of local African people. Chances are many South Africans have never heard of Mapungubwe because anything that paints native blacks in good light was never encouraged in a pre-independent South Africa. Evidence excavated at Mapungubwe shows that they built stone around the mountain and had to carry the sand to the top. Other evidence of glass beads also shows that the people who lived at Mapungubwe traded possibly with the Chinese. Mapungubwe had been previously neglected to kill any evidence showing African progress and evidence of African existence prior to colonialism. Thulamela. This site was discovered in Kruger National Park, which is one of the largest wildlife parks in the world. Settlement at this site was believed to have occurred between 1200 and 1640 AD. Although this site was also managed by the University of Pretoria, it was better restored and opened to the public. They discovered the remains of a female who had on her possession of many gold beads and a gold bangle. Thulamela is believed to have accommodated about 2,000 people. This too was built by descendants of the Shona people who often conducted trade all the way to the Indian Ocean.